All right, we are welcome to the Rules, Confirmations, and Public Elections Committee for Tuesday, March 17th, 2026. I hope we all have some green on for St. Patrick's Day. We do have a quorum with myself, Vice Chair Evans, Councilmember Rutherford, Councilmember Spain, and Councilmember Toombs. There is no one here no one signed up for public comment, so we'll jump into the resolutions. I have all three on consent. I'll read them and we'll see if anyone wants to pull any off. RS 2026-1858, a resolution requesting that Nashville Electric Service and the Electric Power Board of Metropolitan Government in Nashville, Davidson County submit existing and future contracts, agreements, and related documents to the Metropolitan Clerk to promote transparency and public access. Sponsors Johnston, Rutherford, and others. RS 2026-1859, a resolution honoring the service of Danny Herron upon his retirement for Habitat for Humanity of Greater Nashville. Sponsors Toombs, Gamble, and others. And RS 2026-1860, a resolution honoring Dr. Robert Wingfield Jr. on the occasion of his retirement from Fisk University for his advocacy in environmental justice and scholarship. Sponsors Taylor, Toombs, and others. So I have those three on consent. Do we want to pull any off? Yes.
Yes. 1858, number one.
All right.
No worries.
2 or 3?
No worries.
All right, so let's, I'll pull one off, and so items 2 and 3 are on the consent agenda. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? So that's 5 and 6. All right, so let's go back to RS 2026-1858. Can I get a motion?
So moved. Second.
All right, we have the sponsor is here. Councilmember Johnson, would you like to speak to your resolution?
Thanks. So I put forth this resolution just literally for some transparency purposes. So while NES is not a metro department, it is owned by the government, and every single contract that they enter into enters the government into that contract by and through NES or the Power Board. All of their contracts are subject to FOIA requests, so this just sort of expedites that. We have obviously seen a lot of interest in what NES is doing as of late, and there have been a lot of FOIA requests for contracts and such, and so it just made sense to me that it would be searchable in the documents portal just like every other contract. And so if they want to be transparent like every other department, seems to me that's something that they would be interested in, and thankfully we have 22 at last count sponsors, so I appreciate the support of my colleagues.
Thanks. Yes.
I just had some clarifying questions. So, and it's probably for our legal counsel. Are all metro departments required to file their contracts with the clerk's office?
It's best practice for them to file those documents in this case because the Electric Power Board has more independence under the charter. There is no requirement for them to submit those contracts.
So if I wanted to look up a NDOT contract or a waste services contract, any department contract, I could reach out to the clerk, and am I going through the FOIA process, or I just say, hey, I want to see this contract, give it to me?
I believe the URL is documents.nashville.gov.
Okay, so I can just go online and I
yes.
can pull up the contract?
Yes.
Any contract from any department?
Yes.
Okay.
Documents.nashville.gov. That's
Okay.
awesome.
So with the NES contracts, is that a, hate to say, is it a true statement, but is the metro government a party to all of their contracts because they're a public utility?
The Metropolitan Government, NES is an agency of Metro, so by extension, yes.
Okay.
And just to clarify, this is not having us be, having approval. This is just once contracts are executed, they're filed with the clerk. So all of the process is exact same. Once they're executed, they're filed with the clerk so that they're searchable. So that if you happen to be interested, you can go onto the documents portal and look through to see what that is. It doesn't go back retroactive to like 1940 whatever. It's just what is active now and would move forward. And it doesn't force them to do it. We cannot require it apparently, but it would be probably a bad look for them to say no.
Any others? Yes.
Yeah, I was
Councilmember
just gonna note, but I think it's worth still pointing out that as the resolution reads, it is requesting NES to do this, and so it's not a requirement, and we can't actually make them do it. But it seems like in being good partners that they would want to do it. It's all information that is public through request anyway, and so it just makes sense to me to do this for transparency's sake.
Anyone else? Ready to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Any not voting? All right, 5-0. Thanks.
I have a late file if we want to do that before.
It's not on
No?
the agenda, no.
Oh, it's not?
No, it's a timely filed amendment. Yeah, I can explain if you'd like, Chair. Councilmember Johnston has timely filed an amendment on third reading. It will require suspension of the rules, but that does not come before this committee
Oh, okay,
because it's not been filed.
Thanks.
Okay. All right, so now we are on to our board and commission appointees and nominees. We have a handful of deferrals and one withdrawal. But we will start, and I'm sorry, y'all, I failed you. I do not have WeGo cards tonight. I ran out and have not gotten more. But we do have parking passes here for anybody who needs one. All right, so we're going to start with the Arts Commission reappointment of Evan R. Brown for a term expiring on April 26, 2030. Mr. Brown?
How you doing?
Hey, how are you? I'm good. How are you? All right, so if you would, this is a reappointment, so you've been on the Arts Commission for how many terms?
1 term? 2 terms?
You filled a vacant term.
Yeah,
Okay,
the other vacancy.
so,
There you
okay,
go. Yeah.
so tell us a little bit about your experience, what you've experienced on the, as a member of the as a commissioner, and why you'd like to continue, what goals you have for contributing in the future.
Yeah.
Any of that you want us to hear?
Sounds great. Absolutely. Evan Brown, local Nashvilleian, been here since I was about 5 years old, and so this is home for me. Independent art curator and consultant around town, so I do projects with a lot of companies and corporations. I also own 2 galleries, one in North Nashville and one in East Nashville. And so, as my time has been on the Art Commission, it's been amazing. We have seen some successes. We have some, things that we're developing and improving on as a commission. But there's, that's why I'm going up for this reappointment, because there's time to, make some fixes, make some changes that need to be done. But we have a very capable team on the commission itself, and looking forward to just expanding the process and, building up the art community as it locally stands.
Do you, I forget, what's the number of commissioners? Is it 50? It's a pretty big number, is it?
11.
Sorry? 11, okay. And I'm just curious, and I'm asking a lot of people, a lot of different commission members or appointees, reappointments, are you all in good shape in terms of, meeting quorum every meeting? Is there ever any sense of,
No,
absenteeism is gonna be a problem, or?
yeah, no, I don't generally, the entire commission is there, right? We may have 1 or 2 misses, but we always meet quorum.
Gotcha, okay.
Absolutely.
Thanks. Any other questions for Mr. Brown? All right, if we are ready to vote, all in favor of the reappointment of Evan R. Brown?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? 5-0-0.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
All right, next we have the Planning Commission reappointment of Jessica Farr for a term expiring March 31st, 2030. I think this was deferred last meeting.
Yes.
Come join us and tell us a little bit about, this is again a reappointment, so how many terms have you been on?
A few.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about the Planning Commission, what you, not just you, but have accomplished in recent years, and what you'd like to see going forward.
I think that we continue to accomplish a lot just because the city is changing so quickly. I will say I first joined the commission when we adopted Nashville Next, so I got the opportunity to see that process, and now sort of watching as we use that as a guiding principle for all of the planning decisions that we've made. It's been very interesting just to watch sort of how that plan tracks with the changes that we're seeing in Nashville. And more recently, I'm really excited about the stuff that we're doing around the Unified Housing Study and the Housing and Infrastructure Study. I feel like I've been learning, even though I've been on the commission a long time, I learn something new and something different comes up every time. But one consistent is every project is faced with challenges of traffic, wastewater, stormwater, all the rest. And it's really hard to always approve, projects because they're consistent with our plan, knowing that we have these infrastructure challenges. And so I'm really excited about this chance in this term to, try to see if we can make some improvements in that area and oversee more on the infrastructure side. So we'll see.
Okay, thanks. And you all ever have quorum issues?
Yeah, no, we have 9 people, generally speaking. We do a pretty good job.
Great. I'm I know there've been, in the last couple of months, there've been a couple of commissions or boards who haven't met. And I thought I'm just kind of wanting the committee to check on that and see
I
if
think they figure out a way if quorum is a concern to make it keep going, because we pretty much have to meet.
Yeah, sounds good. All right, any other questions? Yes, Councilmember Spolta.
Thank you, Chair. You're currently the vice chair, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I guess my question is just going back and watching some of the previous meetings. You had made some comments regarding big rezoning reform. And it's starting with planning commission staff, or planning staff, instead of council members. Is that still your position?
That it should start with planning staff? No, in that case, it felt like they need to go in tandem. I think they should be informing each other. I think obviously the council members have the voice of your constituents. You should be bringing the ideas forward. We should be looking at them. The problem happens when things get really far down the road and planning hasn't been brought in to sort of have a more, maybe to have a more balanced look at the whole range of issues. But no, I think that it should always be, they should work in tandem ideally, because, we don't have the ability to get out and meet with all of your constituents. So we need that voice very loudly at the table as well.
Yes,
Yeah,
Councilmember
I
Ruffin.
would just make, having been on several where there's a lot of opposition in the neighborhood, there doesn't seem to be an acknowledgement sometimes of those concerns. So what I've seen several times is they come forward, traffic plan, whatever they're acknowledging,
Right.
and everybody just sort of says, staff, are you okay? Boom, and go forward. I mean, and I really feel like there should be some kind of acknowledgement or questioning. Like if there's a traffic plan, can you explain, staff, why that traffic plan is there? Some cases I found it to be a little bit narrow, but I really think, and I mentioned to Greg the other day when I saw him this meeting, and we really need sort of a more sensitive group. A lot of people have come and walked away, pretty much said, well, they just aren't really going to listen to us. Listening is acknowledging the concerns, and I think there's a big miss.
I think that makes sense, for sure. I know we had a lot of challenging conversations around the new zoning code edition. And that was a very sensitive one, because obviously there were certain council districts that felt very strongly in some ways. And, we did have to, in that case, defer somewhat to staff's perspective, given they were the ones that led the public engagement process such as it was. Lucy Kemp said something to me that I think makes a lot of sense, which is that it's really hard to get people out to say yes to something. We always hear a lot of opposition. And so if we can get more people who want to also come out and say why they support something, in that case, we often are relying on the perspective from staff or the council people, to inform our decisions. So I don't want people to think that we're not hearing the opposition. We're just always having to take that in balance with what we're hearing from staff, and not recognizing we may not get the same support of all of the people who might support an item.
But I think the people in the audience don't know what you're getting from staff. Like,
Yeah.
Example, probably a bigger example is UDO at Nations.
Mm-hmm.
So that was just a request for a deferral of one meeting in planning.
Yeah.
And so obviously there was a lot of opposition.
Yeah.
And they were really just looking for more time. Everybody looked at each other and just said, no, and the traffic plan was pretty, can't imagine a traffic plan such as this for a size, and there wasn't really a traffic plan. But anyhow, my feeling is there should have been some acknowledgement when there's
Sure.
so much at stake for some people.
Sure.
And I can tell you there's a lot of neighborhoods that just have given up that there's any recognition from the neighborhoods. So you might get something from staff, we don't know it.
Yeah.
And there's the staff is probably doing the best they can.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, the people out in the audience don't know that. They
Right.
don't know why and what. So
Right.
anyhow.
No, that's helpful. That's helpful feedback, and we can take that back to some degree in talking with Lucy. To make sure that we're getting the right information out in the staff report or in the presentation by staff at the beginning of an item. And as council members, if there's an item coming forward and you think we really have missed it, please bring that forward in your comments as well as to what you think we're missing. I guess I was lucky to miss the Nations rezoning case, so I don't know exactly how that all happened.
Everybody looked at each other and nobody knew what to do. And really, someone said, let's defer, someone didn't. Anyhow.
Council members,
Okay.
we're interviewing the nominee for
Anyhow, I
reappointment.
appreciate.
I appreciate your comments, but let's
Yeah, I get
look
it.
back
It's
to,
fair.
We could have a long conversation.
yes.
Thank you, Chair. Where do you stand on housing reform?
I think I think we need to figure out a way to get more housing in the city. I think that we are unfortunately very hamstrung by what the state allows us to do. And so one of the easiest ways that we look at this is to try to increase supply. I wish there was more that we could do to make sure that the supply that's coming online is affordable, not just wait to see what happens and if the market prices adjust. But I fully support more opportunities for housing, and especially affordable housing.
Yes.
I had a shared feedback that was totally opposite of Councilmember Druffel to the chair. Having been on the opposition side plenty of times prior to my council time. And I guess, I kind of feel like, and maybe you could speak to this a little bit, when we're talking about the infrastructure study and kind of like what the state will allow, like that is a valid concern. And there was an item that I had in front of you where you brought up, hey, this road is a concern. Like, let's be thoughtful about this in the future, even in the plan, move forward. But how do we, once this infrastructure study comes out related to state roads, do you have any thoughts around like how we're going to use that to influence like the state conversation around state routes? Because like some in my area, I've got state roads that are really the big bottleneck, and I can have those conversations at my little level, with like state representatives and whatever, but do you feel like that will eventually like kind of galvanize like more of a conversation with the state around how do we keep these projects moving forward?
I have no good insight into that. I would like to think that would happen, but we all know that it's never that easy between the state and Nashville.
And I guess from that perspective, like, do you envision a planning commission that takes a position that could then be elevated by like the mayor's office in relation to like the state level conversation? Because I know it's not just us, it's other cities that are navigating the same thing, and we don't have enough infrastructure funding, you know, at the state level and all that stuff.
So we have not in the past, beyond sort of our general planning documents, taken a formal policy position. I think, you know, you can tell by the topics that we've taken on, certainly the housing and the infrastructure at least getting elevated into a pretty substantial study, that those are issues we feel strongly about, but I don't know how you merge that with taking a stand.
Got it. I didn't know if there was like some kind of secret signal chat, planning commissioners across the state or something like that, where you all are
No, we
like
haven't.
having those kinds of conversations across counties or something.
Yeah, no, we haven't. It's a good idea.
I don't recommend the secret signal chat.
No,
Okay.
that's probably not.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Ms. Vaughn? All right, are we ready to vote? All in favor? We're at 7 now? Yes. All right, all in favor of the reappointment of Jessica Farr for term expiring March 31st, 2030?
Aye.
Any against? Any not voting? 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next we have Mirza Esteban, who is, as you may see, is, we need to defer.
Yes.
All right, can I get a motion?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Any not voting? All right, 7-0 deferral. Former council member Russ Pulley, Daniel Russ Pulley, has been withdrawn as a nominee for the Sports Authority. And now we have a bunch of folks for the Sustainability Advisory Committee. And so let's, and then we have some deferrals in here that we'll get to, it's like 4, 5, and 6. But let's start with the reappointment of Jeffrey Ezel, Ace, for a term expiring March 14th, 2028.
Let's see him, can we move him?
Can we bump him to the end?
Okay. Berkeley Allen.
Oh.
There's, there you are back there.
Where were you?
Councilmember Allen, you are being reappointed to the Sustainability Advisory Committee. I know this, as I know, even from not council stuff, but sustainability is very important to you. Tell me a little bit about tell us a little bit about the Sustainability Advisory Committee, what you all have accomplished, what goals you have going forward.
So the advisory committee, I think, serves as much as an informational gathering and opinion and priority setting group as anything else. Kendra Apkovitz in the mayor's office is our fearless leader and usually brings so much information about what's going on. It's all we can do it's like drinking from a fire hose on that. But we, at the beginning, looked at sort of all the things that groups before us, the Blue Ribbon Commission and other advisory groups had looked at sustainability-wise and kind of level set, what have we accomplished so far, requiring Metro buildings to all be LEED, having the sustainability goals that Mayor O'Connell passed as a previous council member and where we are on those. So are just things that we can look at and say, what has Metro done as a city to be a leader in that? And then within that, I think each of the members on the commission is kind of a area expert in something. Dark skies is kind of one of my things, and recycling is another, so I tend to bring those things forward and push for where we are. I have a constituent who is asking that we do some work on leaf blowers and reducing noise and air pollution from how those are used by Metro departments. So that's kind of a long-term goal that I'm working with the committee on. So it encompasses everything from energy use to waste disposal to stormwater and our canopy restoration and a lot of other topics that solar, you'll hear from one of the other members with regard to that. So it often can be so many things that I think sometimes struggle to say, what are we going to make sure happens next? But in general, Kendra often is the one who's leading that effort with our input.
Great, thank you. Vice Chair?
What do you wish we would stop talking about and just do?
Doing. I would like to see our compost program grow beyond the 750 household pallet that it is now. I think we all know that no one wants a landfill in their neighborhood. And if we can't figure out better ways to create a circular economy, we're gonna have to cite one somewhere that's gonna be unfair to some community. And, we shouldn't be just ignoring that reality, and not trying to solve that problem.
May I ask a real quick follow-up? I'm sorry, may I ask?
Go ahead.
Do you know what the cost of the composting pilot is now? And have you all talked about like what it would cost to expand?
I have that number written down, I
okay.
can't tell you right now. I mean, I think it's some hundreds of thousands of dollars for 750 households. We've extended it twice. I would love to see us double it and then double it every year if we could. So I've just asked to make sure we've got that, at least continuing it in the upcoming budget.
Councilmember Spalding.
Can you elaborate on the leaf blower?
So simply, just trying to look at other options. Can we use electric leaf blowers that are put less pollution in the air and maybe, less impactful on the person who's holding the thing?
Yeah.
In terms of the noise pollution piece of it, so.
You mean we, Metro, or we,
So,
the city,
it would start,
everybody?
I had a constituent say, can we just outlaw those everywhere? And that's not happening. And so, as we often do, we start with Metro being a leader, as we've done with our lead design for our buildings. So just looking at what departments in Metro might begin and do a pilot on, can we switch from the gas polluting ones to electric ones, and then try to work to quieter ones.
Can I suggest one thing?
Yes.
Back when I started council, one of the projects I had looked at, so back in 2019, I think it was Memphis, I want to say, another city had a project where they had a community shed. And I think they held it in one of the parks, in which community members could come and borrow specific tools and then come and return them. People can't always afford tools or to go to like Lowe's and rent them, etc. It might be something worth looking at, especially if we get some of those electric tools, or even just like a shovel, hose, whatever.
I don't know what all is in the library of things, but it does include some tools, so maybe we can expand on that. Great suggestion.
Any other questions?
I think just
Yes.
a brief statement. I think it's important to lead by example, and I would love to see Metro go all electric with the leaf blowers. And I personally am all electric with my lawn equipment, so I'm just throwing that out there. In terms of leading by example, I think we can all set that example.
Exactly.
Thank you for that.
It makes a difference.
Thanks. All right, ready for a vote? All in favor of Councilmember Allen for a term expiring April 15th, 2028?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? All right, 7-0 to 0.
Thank you.
Tough vote.
Thank you.
All right, so I have a discrepancy here. So on my appointments page, the packet, it says that Jason Carney is next, but if I look at the meeting agenda,
It is
I'm not seeing Jason Carney.
Okay. Is Mr. Carney here?
Do we have a notice issue? That's the
I will,
case.
let me look at the appointments and we can go from there.
Okay, let me just go to let me take care of the next three are deferrals. We got 3 deferrals for the Sustainability Advisory Committee. The reappointment of Cesar Castro for a term expiring March 14th, 2028. The reappointment of Carolyn Everett for a term expiring March 14th, 2028. And the reappointment of Councilmember Sandy Ewing for a term expiring April 15th, 2028. Can I get a motion to defer those 3?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? 7-0 to 0. Opposed. And then next, we've got the reappointment of Michelle Hammond for a term expiring March 14th, 2028. Is that right, Hammond?
Yes.
Come on up and, tell us about yourself, and this is a reappointment, so you've been on the Sustainability Advisory Committee. Like I asked Councilmember Allen, tell us about what good things y'all have been doing and what good things you got planned.
Yeah, she had a really good way of putting it, that we've just mainly been like a information gathering, had a lot of presentations given to us about what's happened so far in the city, and we're more in an advisory role to just have conversations when we're there with the people coming to give the presentations. So I think it has taken us a little bit to find our feet, and because it's only quarterly meetings, so it's not very often. So I think it's a good thing that there's more people continuing since we're, yeah.
Makes sense.
Just getting there. And about myself, I used to work for General Services in the Sustainability Group for 6 years. I left a couple of years ago, and I was at General Services during the time when the Green New Deal for Nashville passed. And I worked on some of the implementation of that, so it's great to still be involved in some way to give advice on different things. I've also been involved in the last 4 greenhouse gas inventories that the city did, the last one in an advisory role. So I think I bring more of the technical background around solar, greenhouse gases, the Green New Deal, green building, yeah.
Great. Yes, Councilmember.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just gonna pitch another idea. Because I started a thread on Blue Sky called City Wish List. One of them was, I've been seeing designs of solar panels on top of bus shelters. I don't know if that's something that you all have looked at or explored.
I have not heard that. So I know that fairly recently, within the last couple of years, there was $4 million given for solar on metro buildings, and that is just now, it takes a while, just now being placed on quite a few buildings around the city. So, but I have not heard about the bus shelters. That's a great idea.
The design I looked at had solar on top of the bus shelters, and then it also had plants incorporated into the design as well. And I know that 12 South also has like that barrier that has some of the, greenery incorporated into the design. I know that there's other countries like Japan that has like koi ponds incorporated into their design. I don't know, I'm a big dreamer. So something that I would suggest.
They do it for lights or stop signs, the solar,
I've
so
seen,
absolutely it'd be a cross application, that's a good idea.
I like that you get ideas from other places. So after I left Metro Nashville, I traveled with my husband for a year while he was on research leave, and one of the things that I saw in Australia was in front of City Hall, they had planters with food being grown, and people can just take it.
All of that. Yeah. My biggest city that I'm jealous of right now is Albuquerque.
Any other questions? Ready to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? 7 to 0 to 0. Good deal. Director, did you find out something about Jason Carney?
It appears that the public agenda did not include Mr. Carney for rules. However, the main agenda included him on for the full meeting. I would note that state law allows a local government body to deliberate or act upon matters not listed on the agenda of its regular meeting if the body follows its bylaws or properly adopted rules and procedures and complies with all other applicable state laws. There is precedent for suspension of the rules, at least at the main floor, to consider something on a late file basis. I think something similar might be applicable here, considering the rules and bylaws would allow it.
Okay, and Mr. Carney's here.
Yes, and he's on the main agenda, so I would imagine.
Okay, I'd like to suspend I'm gonna request that we suspend the rules and interview, Jason Carney, even though he's not on our committee agenda. The objection? All right, just come on down, Mr. Carney. And, Director, if you will help me make sure that I report this to, will the Vice Mayor have it on her agenda, so?
We'll make sure it's noted, yes.
All right, I gotta figure out where to put it. All right. Mr. Carney, you are, this is a reappointment, so you've been on the Sustainability Advisory Committee. Like I've asked others, tell a little bit about your experience so far, what good things y'all are doing, that especially things that you are interested in, and things that you would like to see going forward.
Thanks for having me, and I'll just say that, try to be, modest, but it's really been a great experience for me. Not something I, would push for, but I'm glad that I did get on it to see that we do have a voice and we can get things to kind of move in a direction. One of the things I'd like to highlight is the mayor some years ago, as a council person, helped bring about the RPS for Nashville, the Renewable Portfolio Standard. And so that was, something that was brought about and then basically not touched. Who knew how it was working? And so one of the things that we mentioned in the meeting was, hey, how is that going? And Kendra worked with, I think, General Services, and now we have a whole dashboard that anyone can go to and see how we're matching up with that RPS. And so, I think that was something I was really delighted that, came about just because of our body making that suggestion. Seeing stuff they're doing with the I-Team, trying to do some really disruptive things.
Sorry, with the what?
The I-Team, the Bloomberg
Gotcha,
initiative. Some funding was pulled, so they're having to, be creative. But just seeing the effort there, and just being exposed to things that I'm not as familiar with, as far as with Metro Water coming down and talking about what they do and land use and all of these different things. So it's been a real good experience, and as Michelle said, we kind of just getting our footing. We've got in my opinion, a really good Avengers type team. Everybody's really strong at what they kind of do, and so getting our footing on this term, and then hopefully, next term we can start to be even more aggressive in what we suggest to Ms. applicants.
Any other questions? Yes.
Just one, in your questionnaire, it says you're the only African American in Tennessee with the NADCEP's PVIP certification.
That I know of today. That is the solar license that TVA requires for you to design solar in the state.
Gotcha.
Or in TVA territory.
Yes.
What's like some really cool solar applications that we're not doing that we should be doing as a city?
You have great questions. I heard another question that you asked.
Inspiring my peers to
I kind of want to blend it with the previous question you asked, like what should we just be doing right now? And I think that all of our affordable housing should have solar on it. Affordable just isn't just the capital expense to buy the home, but it's also the operational expense of the home. And so if we can have them, codes are better, but if we can have it properly sealed and insulated and putting solar on it, it can really help with the light bill and things of that nature that we don't think about when we talk about affordable housing. So I think as I tell many people, policy is everything. If we can just, one, get it written, and then two, implement it, then we can do everything that we want to do.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah.
Anything else? All right, ready for a vote? All in favor for Jason Carney to the Sustainability Advisory Committee for a term expiring March 14th, 2028. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? 7-0-0. Good job. All right, and then our last Sustainability Advisory Committee reappointment interview is for Stephanie Tetro for a term expiring March 14th, 2028. Stephanie, come on up. And, oh, maybe it's not our last. Did we find Mr. Ezel Ace?
We're gonna defer him, he
Okay.
just emailed me.
Okay. All right, don't let me forget. All right, Ms. Tetro, tell us a little bit about yourself. What's your superpower on the Sustainability Advisory Committee? What are you all proud of what you've done, and what would you like to do going forward?
Yeah, so there's a lot under the Sustainability Advisory Committee, so my fellow members have focused a lot on like the sustainability elements, the reducing carbon emissions, slowing climate change. Also what's covered is like adaptation and resilience plans, and that's where more of my background comes in. So I have a long tenure of working with immigrant communities here in Nashville, and then when I left the Tennessee Immigrant Refugee Rights Coalition, I started working for national organizations that worked on disaster recovery and equitable disaster response. And now I currently work for a philanthropic foundation that funds climate adaptation and as well as climate migration issues across the country. And so I try to bring a view of sort of best practices on some of those issues from other communities across the country, additional funding opportunities for the city, as well as how to engage communities, community-based organizations in some of the resilience and adaptation strategies. And so like my fellow committee member said, Kendra is an extraordinary leader of this work, and she's built a really strong commission. I think she's tapped into the different expertise and resources of different committee members, and I think we're all excited about being able to really dive in deeper into a few core priorities of the city in our next go.
Thanks. Councilmember? Yes.
Well, I can't speak highly enough of Stephanie and how much work she's done for the community, and so anything she can do to continue to, be a leader in these spaces, I think will be fantastic for everybody who lives and works here. Your work, I think, is very important. One thing that I think needs to be uplifted is the amount of storms that occur in this county continues to grow with every passing year, right? And we just had another storm, right? Yeah. I think the response, as far as Metro's response and making sure that the word gets out to our immigrant communities is very important, and so I want to make sure that that work is being done. Is that something that this committee looks at, or is there a way to make sure that we are sending best practices over to the special committee that has been created?
And I think that as far as like all of the different jurisdictions of committees, I'm not sure exactly where, but I think that Kendra is eager to advance solutions in terms of figuring out what happens under OEM, what happens, of course, with NES, but I think especially language access for sure, that is like, if you were to ask me that question, what's the one thing we find we need to do? That is a really, really big one, but I think the other conversations that we've been having is like that there is tremendous infrastructure already within communities, whether it's faith institutions, and we need to figure out how to bring them in before and really to sort of resource that, and I think a lot of it's there, it's a coordination question, but I think that particularly, and then the strategy that's in some of the plans around resilience hubs and equipping places that are within community, we were talking about with solar generators, et cetera, to just make sure, like, to tap into those resources.
Yeah, I think one of the two hardest days in my council tenure was having to put like a flower arrangement on a 3-year-old's casket.
Yeah, it was there.
Died in the tornado, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, the question of were the Metro alerts in their language? How do we get people who live in mobile homes to like a safe place? All of those things, and it's not lost on me that low-income people and minorities are the ones that live in very vulnerable areas, and so my district is usually hit pretty hard when it comes to major flooding, right? And so looking at like our infrastructure as well is going to be very important. So I do want to uplift that. And then I don't know, I lost my train of thought. I had one more idea. Last idea for you all. Apartment complexes. A lot of them don't know how to get to safety in the case of tornadoes, so that's another thing as well. And then recycling, like we have recycling bins for homes, single-family homes and all of that. We don't have that for apartment complexes. They are not incentivized to provide that. And that is like a major, those are big multi-units where many people live, and that might be something that we could take upon ourselves to incentivize apartment complexes to provide that for people.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, and I share your sense of like urgency and grief over figuring out how to really strengthen our resilience, because like you said, storms are becoming more frequent, more intense, and I think it will be an increasing priority or imperative for the city as federal funding for resilience and disaster recovery continues to get cut.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. Let's have a vote. All in favor of Stephanie Tetro for a term expiring March 14, 2028 to the Sustainability Advisory Committee. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any against? Any not voting? That's 7 to 0 to 0. Thank you.
so much.
All right, and I want to move to defer.
Mr. Zell.
Move to defer Jeffrey Ezel Ace for a term expiring March 14, 2028, one meeting. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Any not voting? All right, so I think that's all of our interviews. So now I'm gonna go, remember we had a lot of interviews last time, so I'm gonna read through, and please let me know if, we're gonna do it with it as a consent, but please let me know if I need to pull anybody off of the consent vote. All right, Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Commission appointment of Daniel Caparella for a term expiring March 7th, 2028. For Civil Service Commission, reappointment of Alicia Jones for a term expiring March 31st, 2031. The following are for the Board of Equalization, and I'll state whether they're a member or an alternate. The appointment of Laurie Cass as an alternate for a term expiring April 14th, 2028. The reappointment of Alexa J. Coulton for a term expiring April 14th, 2028, so that's a member. The reappointment of Deb Dawson for a term expiring April 14th, 2028. The appointment of Truett Ellis as an alternate for a term expiring April 14th, 2028. The appointment of John Green for a term expiring April 14th, 2028. The reappointment of Melba Jackson for a term expiring April 14th, 2028. The appointment of Michael Milliner as an alternate for a term expiring April 14th. The appointment of the appointment of Israel D. Nellis as an alternate for a term expiring April 14th, 2028. Appointment of Mia Parker as an alternate for a term expiring April 14th, 2028. The appointment of Carnell Scruggs for a term expiring April 15th, 2028. The appointment of Derek Starks as an alternate for a term expiring April 14th, 2028. And for the Planning Commission, the reappointment of Greg Atkins for a term expiring March 31st, 2030. The Planning Commission reappointment of Aria Dang for a term expiring March 31st, 2030. The Public Library Board reappointment of Sharvis Rand for a term expiring April 6/2033, and the Traffic and Parking Commission reappointment of Brandon Mason for a term expiring April 3rd, 2031. Do I need to pull any off? Ready for, can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor of the consent appointments?
Aye.
Any against? Any not voting? All right, we approve all those. All right, next we have a rule change, and I have a substitute that I've worked on that I'll share. The rule change, and
I was gonna look for Councilmember Cooper.
Oh,
okay, I don't know that he kind of texted me, said that he might be late. I did send the clerk a email to sign on.
Okay.
So basically, we've had some issues with we changed our system where we have. I'm sorry, what?
We need to move it.
You need to move
The bill.
The rule.
The
rule change. Do you need to move it? Is the question there?
yes, I think we did.
Oh, I'll move the bill.
Second.
All right. So thank you. So for this rule change, we've had some instances where for council elections where council members nominate folks to fill a position on a board or commission, and then we vote in the body for that election, like the traffic and parking a few weeks ago, traffic and parking commission. And so we've had some times where they are not able, a nominee is not able to make the one meeting that they need to be at, so that they can move forward and be up for election the 2 weeks following. And so what Councilmember Coopin's rule change does is allow a one meeting deferral for an interview, and it can only be one meeting deferral, so that we can interview that person on the second opportunity, which would be the night that we vote, which would be the night the whole council votes in that election or for that appointment. I would like to talk about my substitute, if I could get a motion to.
Second.
Right, so I I support Councilmember Coopin's request, his desired rule change. But as I dug into Rule 50, there were a couple of things that I noticed, and one thing I wanted to fix, well, two things I wanted to fix. So some of this in the substitute, and I do have copies of it if there's no objection to me passing them out. And I intend to defer for a meeting because there are some new changes in this. So this does four things. Number one, it reaffirms Councilmember Coopin's request. I'm not changing his request at all, except that, so number two, his change, if you look at the language in his change, the change comes in Section 3. But in Section 2, there was a part that said, about 4 lines down, at the next regular report to the council its recommendation at the next regular council meeting at least 2 weeks following the Rules Committee meeting wherein the candidates were considered. So if we're able to, in Section 3, if we're able to defer and consider them on the night that we're supposed to vote for the whole council to vote on them, what that says about at least 2 weeks following the Rules Committee meeting is contradictory, right? So I put in something that fixes that basically says prior to the election, which is a little more vague and allows for more flexibility. The third thing that the substitute does is at the end of Section 1, it gives us, if for some reason we really feel like something happened in rules and we really want to, when we interviewed a deferred candidate and we really want to slow down and wait on that election, or if something earlier on happens, that basically we can defer the election with a 2/3 vote, 2/3 of those present, just in case, because I know that we've talked about this before, and there were some, hesitance to, like, we've got this 2-week system that's working pretty well, and so if we make exception to that, then something could come up that we need more time with, right? So this, if it's something really serious, that gives us an out for that. The fourth thing that the substitute does is there were just some, I got my English teacher red pen out, and there were just some wordings that drove me crazy, and I suggested changes to them, and there were some others that just seemed really obvious, and I think there was, Director, I think there was a little bit of reordering of some stuff, is that correct?
Yes, it's housekeeping changes, yes.
So I am, I'd like to see if there are any questions about these things or thoughts about this, and I will make a deferral motion, but let's see what questions there are. I think I saw Councilmember Spain first, or Councilmember Rutherford.
Okay, yeah. My question is about the moving of the election. Is that done by a specific motion that has to be made for that to happen? And then if there's just not a motion to do that, then it's not moved? Is that the process that would take place?
For the 2/3, for the
to
move the date of the election.
To move the date of the election.
Right. I mean,
You
I
said
think
if
when
something occurred that, you might see a reason to not do it that night, but to move the election itself.
Right.
So if that was the case, is that you're doing that, then somebody has to make a motion specific to that,
I
and then
believe
it's
so.
not addressed if a motion is never made. Am I reading that correct?
Yeah, I mean, earlier, the vice mayor is gonna, when she announces the vacancies, right, and lets us know, hey, next meeting, you're gonna be making nominations for these vacancies, right? Then we're kind of setting in motion a pattern or a schedule of when the election is. I also kind of state that she should state what the election is. And so by when the vice mayor presents or announces that the vacancies need to be filled and that nominations are coming at the next regularly scheduled meeting, that sets that into motion. So to undo that, or to give us some sort of off-ramp if we need some way to stop the election or move it, this says that there should be, I'm assuming a motion. Does that need to be more specific? May change the date.
I personally don't think it needs to be specific, but if the body wants it to be more explicit, then there's no issue with it.
Okay, I'm happy to put that in there. That says.
I was just seeking clarification that that's what it meant.
Yes.
I mean, you can
Correct.
change the wording if you think that's a better way to go. I'm not suggesting it one way or the other. I just wanted clarification on the process.
Yes.
What I was thinking.
Is that clear? Okay. Anything else? Yes. Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, mine was the same question. I was
Okay.
just kind of trying to figure out mechanically how that would work, because I don't know how.
Well, and let me say
it would be
this.
recognized from the floor, unless maybe if it were a part of your committee report, so the chair of rules is recognized on the nominations, and maybe it's a recommendation from the committee to defer the election. I don't know. I'm the same as John said. However you want to do it. I'm just trying to grasp mechanically how that works.
Let me add this, that I kind of had two possibilities, and this is the one that I went with. The other one was that in the process, we give ourselves an extra 2 weeks in there. So maybe the vice mayor announces the vacancies, and then 2 weeks later, we submit the nomination, we do the nominations from the floor, and then there's a month or 2 meetings in between when we start interviewing them. Because some of it, I mean, I think Councilmember Coop's reason for changing this rule or requesting this rule change is that there have been a couple of nominees that just couldn't be here, and part of it is that they found out probably 2 weeks before, and that was my other option, is to put an extra 2 weeks in there just solidly, but I kind of decided to leave it and to give ourselves an off-ramp if we needed it.
I support the idea of what you're trying to do. I'm just trying to figure out
I gotcha.
mechanically how it works.
That's why I'm going to defer it,
Yeah.
yes, or ask for it.
I feel like we're jumping through hoops. person doing backflips for something that could be solved with talking, you know, with, you know, Austin Kyle and making sure that there's enough notice, right? And we could fix that there, right? Figuring out what the system is to make sure that our commissioners have enough notice to make sure that they make it to Rules Committee. And us figuring out as a body here, like, what is it that we want to give leeway for, right? Is it a family death, which we have done once before, where we suspended the rules? And I think a family death is a good reason to suspend the rules, right? I think that's a fair reason. Because the way we're doing this right now, you know, if we move the election date, people show up that have already interviewed, then they have to go back home, and it's a whole thing, right? So that's one. I still think it's a change from the process that we've already been doing. I still don't think that's fair. This has only come up recently when we were interviewing and voting on people the same day. In the past couple of terms, this wasn't an issue, right? It's just the way things have been done. And I feel like we could just solve the process at the very beginning and give enough notice. And then we wouldn't have to be jumping through hoops, having to figure out a different way of, like, figuring out this process. I don't think this makes sense.
Can I ask if you are saying that about, equally about what Councilmember Coopin suggested about the
Yes.
possibility to defer a candidate's interview, as well as the off-ramp with a 2/3 vote to move the election? And I agree that we shouldn't just do that haphazardly because people are there, and that's why I said 2/3 rather than just a vote.
Yes.
But it just felt like there should be some kind of off-ramp in an emergency, not that we should do it all the time.
One last thing. My hesitation with the 2/3 vote of also, like, moving it, I understand the off-ramp part. Last term, we had a situation where elections and, like, vacancies just kept getting pushed to the back burner, right? My hesitancy with that as well is that vacancies can be left open for a long period of time. I'll say this and I'll keep saying it out loud because I had an open, like, public fight with the former vice mayor because of the fair board, in which he left that vacancy open for a very, very long time. And so we had a very public fight about that. I don't want that to happen. Granted, it could take 2/3 votes, but there is the possibility that, like, something could happen in the future.
I do want to be clear that this is referring to this section 50, which is just about boards and commissions to which council is charged with selecting a successor. So in other words, I don't think it applies to mayoral appointments, or does it?
No, it would not.
No,
Right.
but I'm
So-
saying council could whip votes to keep a vacancy open until, or something unfilled for a while.
For council nominees, things,
Sure.
yeah, no, I've been upset with, the fair board we still have a vacancy again, we have a vacancy. Yes, council member.
I have a question, and it's kind of directed towards Miss Kathy. So, like, on our agenda, and this kind of goes back to what Councilmember Sepulveda was talking about related to process. On our agenda, we had a deferral for the Property Standards Board. And there's a council appointment timeline, coming up for us to also be part of that process. You had your person renominated, request for all the information already, and we still haven't even been told that there is a nominee or nomination process coming. So are you personally looking and keeping track of every single nominee and what the mayor's office is that, okay.
Only the
and-
mayor's office, not
Right.
the council.
And so, I guess from that vantage point, like, are we on the council end, is the council office also keeping a similar track? And because it's one of those things where I'm like, we're out of alignment even with the mayor's office on appointments that end on the exact same day. And so, the mayor's office has the luxury of continuing to defer for or the vice mayor, for however long that they need. We don't have that luxury and we're really boxed in. So if you think about the process question from Councilmember Sepulveda, what on the front end could be out there where we know that the vacancy is ending in April and there would be more of a runway for council to be told and then be able to make nominations?
Yes, Councilmember. At this point, we do keep track of pending nominations when a council member's term is up. I was looking at that sheet today, as a matter of fact. Regarding longer-term appointments, I suppose there could be, notice could be given earlier from the vice mayor, and a memo would be sent out earlier to alert council members to this vacancy before the vacancy is up. And then an election could be held shortly after the vacancy occurred for a term expiring whenever. To note about, I'm sorry, remind me of which board you had mentioned where.
Property standards,
Oh, yes,
because that's April 7th.
yes, and
And that was one of the nominees that we were gonna hear from tonight.
yes, and in that case, I believe typically, I think we give notice after the vacancy has occurred. And in the future, we would be open to changing that, I believe.
Okay, I've got another question. So kind of piggybacking on that, one of the questions the chair has asked multiple times, if there are quorum issues in a board or commission. So I guess thinking about, however many are struggling to meet quorum, could we pull that back? I mean, you said you're willing to look at changing it. I guess I'm not the chair, but it would seem like a great thing to look at pulling back, and maybe giving us notice earlier so we can align our nominee timeline with attendance and all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm certainly open to having that conversation and seeing what
the
seeing
feedback is.
what the right pathway forward would be.
Okay, cool. But
Okay,
otherwise,
I'm gonna, wait, I need to move to defer, do I need to defer both of them? Since
I would just, you will move to defer the proposed rule amendment, yes. That'll cover the substitute.
And that will cover the substitutes?
Yes.
Okay, I move that we defer the Rule 50, change to Rule 50, one meeting.
second, third.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting?
Thank you.
Thank
Wait,
you.
and we're not adjourned yet, are we?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, let's adjourn.
No objection.
Doing my rule room leaving behavior. I'm standing up. I'm getting ready to walk out.
Register had a lot of fun at karaoke.
Oh, yeah, did she? Did she sing?
Well, you caught the end of it, huh?
Well, that's true. I did. You had some very entertaining folks. Let's not expose everyone's